Converting an existing face-to-face course to an online course or creating a new online course from scratch can seem like a daunting task even to experienced instructors. Someone tasked with course creation might ask, where do I begin? The answer quite simply is, begin at the end. Backward design is considered a best practice for course design. So you might ask, what is backward design? Very simply, backward design is a process in which courses are designed to achieve predetermined learning goals. So the first step in using the backward design process is to consider what you want students to learn as a result of taking a course. Once the learning goals have been decided, then the next question is, how do we know if students accomplished the learning goals? The answer to this question is by preparing a means of evaluation or assessment of students' competence with regard to the learning goals. And remember, we're designing for active learning, so the assessments should involve activities beyond simply reading, listening to a lecture, and taking a test. We want to engage the full learning process of each student's brain. This is where the active learning strategies, such as writing essays, engaging in projects, and analyzing case studies, for example, come into play. Once the goals and assessments have been determined, we have to make sure students have sufficient background knowledge to successfully complete the learning goals. Curating articles, lectures, websites, documents, and textbook chapters will provide students a solid foundation to begin the process of discovery and competence. Backward design is best accomplished iteratively by focusing on the goals, assessments, and content independently. To help guide the instructor through this process, we've developed a series of planning forms. This storyboard system is comprised of 3 phases. Phase 1 is simply a list that allows the instructor to consider and record what they want students to learn as a result of taking the course. These are the course outcomes. So by the end of the course, successful students will be competent in every listed course outcome. Phase 2 helps the developing instructor formulate a set of learning objectives and associated assessments for gauging the student's achievement of the objectives. And Phase 3 provides a means for instructors to record readings, videos, and other course materials that will provide students the background knowledge necessary to accomplish the module learning objectives. To facilitate completion of the storyboards, support links and drop-down lists are embedded in the forms. The completed storyboard system is an essential course design document. It guides the instructor in systematically planning the course, but it also provides a means for the instructional designer to evaluate alignment, rigor, workload, and other important course attributes. I mentioned that the instructor formulates learning goals at the course level and at the module level. These determine what students will be expected to learn and how they will be assessed. There is another level of learning goals above these at the program level. Typically, these are formulated by a program director or a team responsible for initially planning a program's scope and sequence. All levels of learning goals should be aligned such that, looking backward, the module objectives enable achievement of the course outcomes, and course outcomes enable achievement of the program outcomes. As you probably are aware by now, learning goals are central to good course design. They drive all student learning activities and help determine the required course materials. So it's important to know how to construct an effective learning goal. We'll focus on preparing course outcomes and module objectives. When writing course outcomes and module objectives, it's important to remember these 3 characteristics that all well-written course outcomes and module objectives have in common. They describe what students should be able to demonstrate or produce as a result of completing a course or a lesson. They rely on active verbs that identify how students will demonstrate competence. And they are readily measurable by assessment. Note that learning goals do not describe instructor activities such as giving a lecture or providing a demonstration. Learning goals should always be written from the student perspective. We could spend a lot of time learning about perfectly constructed learning goals with all of the key components, that is, audience, behavior, condition, and degree. For now, just remember that we're designing for active learning, so we'll need a verb and some observable proof of learning, as in these examples. Bloom's taxonomy is a commonly used instructional design tool for adjusting the complexity of the learning goal. It comprises a set of verbs grouped by cognitive skills. When writing learning goals, you can incorporate verbs within specific cognitive categories. In this way, you can adjust the expected level of learning. In the previous example, we saw that the verb prepare was selected for the module objective. Referring back to the taxonomy, we see prepare is in the highest category of cognitive complexity. Generally speaking, when developing learning goals for graduate or professional students, aim for the higher levels of cognitive learning whenever possible. For more information about how to begin the online course design process, contact the Faculty Center for Teaching and Learning from our website.